As I was coming in from the parking lot this morning, and there were so many of you streaming in, I noticed something. And it reminded me one of the reasons why I like this parish so much. Because most of the people that were coming toward the church were smiling. And it was so neat to see, compared to some parishes where it looks like people are heading for a funeral and they're not sure if it's their own or not. So congratulations on that. Keep it up. Let's try when we get to the door to not lose our smiles too quickly, and automatically go, okay, we're in church now. That first Pentecost, the Spirit came upon them, and they began to speak in languages that the vast crowd, all of whom were different, could understand. The Spirit came so that the gospel can be presented to all people. Before Mass this morning, we sang God Bless America, and I know that if we're going to sing patriotic songs in church, it has to be the ones that have God's name in them somewhere. But my personal preference would have been if we had sang, "This land is your land." This land is your land. This land is my land. This land was made for you and me. Now take out the word land and put the word church in there. And it should be the same thing. A little story for you. Once upon a time, a new family moved into a neighborhood. It was a nice neighborhood, and it was very close to where Daddy worked. So close he could walk to work. There was only one thing wrong with the neighborhood. Most people weren't Irish. Yes, that's true. There are such neighborhoods. They were Mexican and Thai, Jewish and Korean, Japanese and Indian, Polish and Colombian, Lebanese and Chinese, and just about every other nationality that you could imagine. The children in the neighborhood swarmed around the new kids. "Are you really Irish? We don't have any Irish living in our neighborhood. What's it like to be Irish? Can you teach us Irish songs and dances and tell us Irish stories?" Our new family was not dumb at all. They realized that there was some payoff in being different. They had to look up Irish songs and stories and learn some Irish dances. They became very popular. They also learned a lot about all the strange people, that is, those who were not Irish, in their neighborhood, and decided that while they were not Irish, it wasn't their fault, and they were pretty cool kids anyway. They loved the cooking, even if some of it was a little too spicy. "Do you want to move back to the old neighborhood?" their parents asked them anxiously. "No way," said the kids. "God made us all different, and we enjoy it." Neighborhoods that are all Irish are boring. In the last several weeks, when we watch the news, we have unfortunately seen so many examples of the fact that there are still deep divisions and tensions of disunity. We don't have as good a sense of truly belonging to one another as we could, and maybe even as we should. And I think in some ways that might be true of our church as well. Our church, our church, the whole big enchilada. That's Roman, the whole big pizza. In 2,000 years, there has been an awful lot that has come along that could have absolutely torn the church apart. The last 20 years or so, one of the major things has been, of course, an incredible scandal. And we're still feeling the repercussions of that even today. But through it all, we've got to be there with one another, for one another. We've got to realize that we are united in the Spirit. And sometimes that's not easy. One of my professors, I was told once that when I mention my profs in the seminary, not everybody knows what a prof is, so professor. One of my professors in the seminary one day was giving us a day of recollection. And at one point he said, "Gentlemen, love the church and fight it like hell." And maybe in some ways that's been one of the subheadings of my priesthood. I found a reflection from a spiritual writer, a man named Carlo Corretto. "How much I must criticize you, my church, and yet how much I love you. You have made me suffer more than anyone, and yet I owe more to you than to anyone. I should like to see you destroyed, yet I need your presence. You have given me much scandal, and yet you alone have made me understand holiness. Never in this world have I seen anything more compromised, more false, yet never have I touched anything more pure, more generous, or more beautiful. Countless times I have felt like slamming the door of my soul in your face, and yet every night I have prayed that I might die in your sure arms. No, I cannot be free of you, for I am one with you, even if not completely you. Then, too, where would I go? To build another church? But I could not build one without the same defects, for they are my defects. And again, if I were to build another church, it would be my church, not Christ's church. No, I'm old enough. I know better. When you look at history, you realize that the Holy Spirit has worked very hard to keep us on track, sometimes in spite of ourselves. My Spirit is with you always. And so, we are not perfect. But we, nevertheless, are something incredibly holy, incredibly special. Happy birthday to us all, O people of God.